We're dealing with a lot of methamphetamine.
How would you describe your life?
Chaos.
Ah.
Yeah. My head felt like it was getting cooked, and he's just full of rage and full of, you're on fire.
Once they get to that rawness core of who they are and what's happened, then you start to install health and well-being.
Tēnā rā koutou katoa, nau mai huri mai ki, ka huri te tai.
Where we look at the effects of methamphetamine on the whānau.
Watching services come through, I wish that I had that.
This is the first time I've actually been able to have control of my life.
Well, I need to do something. I can't just let my nephews and nieces suffer, you know.
Kia ora rā koutou katoa, nau mai huri mai ki tēnei hōtaka podcast. And I'm here with the amazing Nix.
Oh, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's it. We haven't got enough time. And our beautiful manuhiri.
Yes, Bess and Stu.
Yeah, and we've met before, actually, eh?
We have.
We went out to your whare. Describe to our listeners what you guys do. This could take all day because we've seen what you do. Yeah, but no, just in a nutshell. And because we were so impressed and so honoured to be there, for sure, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll hand the mantle over. Honey.
Stop calling me
Take
honey,
it away.
honey in front of your husband, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, kia ora. We came up to the north and decided to do something for the community.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was around anger, some criminality, and we just ended up implementing the hub. But we came out of He Wake Kino we developed down in Auckland, down in Tamaki.
Yeah.
And so we brought that up with us just for the community, and we helped establish the Whakoranga Whānau Recovery Hub. And now we have our own treatment centre.
Yeah.
The majority of the people coming in to the hub, we might deal with about over 200 people in a year.
Yeah.
200
Wow.
500, but 90% is all methamphetamine.
Oh, okay.
And so we went to one of our guys was going up for sentencing, and the judge wouldn't let him come back to us.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of injustice in there as well in regards to him being locked up.
Yeah.
They would only release him if he went into intensive treatment, and that's how we got this idea of creating a treatment centre in the centre of Kaikoui for the people. That's the main reason that we're here. We're both of Ngāpuhi descent, and we just want to help our people.
Tēnā koe, tēnā kōrua.
Absolutely.
And so with that, we just go out on a limb and we just create it ourselves.
Yeah.
And so,
Sorry.
this is our passion. This is what we're here for. This gives us a purpose, and it's mainly helping our people, especially Māori.
Yeah.
What got you into this mahi?
Yeah, what was the motivation,
was it personal experience, or did you just see a need for something? And
It's kind of it's a long-winded story, but in the short form for myself, because Stu's we've both got really original, unique stories, but it's the same stuff. And I suppose the why is just having lived experience. So I think just on my 40th birthday, I ended up in rehab, so I have lived experience on the gear.
Yep.
And then prior to that, there's all that other flavoured stuff with the marijuana and the domestic violence and all this, that hahu stuff that you have growing up, which was normalised. And so coming into recovery, I spent about 5 years floundering around. I graduated, as you already know, and then hit this place in space I was raised with my grandparents, and what they did, they took us out on missionaries, which I didn't even know that we were doing as kids. So my grandfather and grandpa would pick us up on the Bedford van, and we'd travel around the country to marae and stuff, and we'd do ministries out and about. So it was in me to do this anyway. And then my grandfather was like, had boxing clubs, youth clubs, so all of that stuff was just flavoured in my life.
Community.
Yeah, he was real community orientated, and my whole family.
Servant leadership, eh?
And so they were hardcore into their religion as well. Into their faith, and they fully believed it. So I was raised in that space of God, trust everything, and I grew up like that. So I've really been like this kid off a whim all the time. God's got me. And so, but all the experiences of the socialness led me into hospitality and tourism, which helped to articulate the skills that I already had when I grew up with. And my grandparents raised me like back blocks. No room, no water, no bloody power, in a tent, in a wool shed, in a caravan. And so, old school values and grew up in them. But when
resourceful.
I got here, very.
Yeah.
When I got here, I reflected on my life. But as I grew in my recovery, I grew out of my life, if that makes sense. So the more I grew in myself, the more I could see that I was outgrowing my current situations at the time. And so there's that thing that I say, it's like, I only had to change one thing. That was everything. Yeah, and so hence like hop the fence. Like, that's the wrong word.
No. I know what you mean. Hey, I'm from up north. Fence hopping is a cultural norm.
Then jump the fence, hop the fence.
But like having the pleasure of being in your whare and just having a glimpse of your systems. It's all very well, and I say it with respect, is to have heart and passion, but you need to have knowledge and systems that are going to make a change, and that's something that really impressed me. How did you guys upskill yourself in, what's needed to be done? Like these people have to go through a program. How do you put that program together, and what's it based on? Take your time.
So, like Stu was saying, is that when we were developing He Waka Eke Noa back in Auckland 10 years ago, so we didn't know, we knew a direction. Stu had this vision and direction that we were leading into, and then I was just like little fireball fresh out of the hab, and then I got this position working alongside him, and then he had developed, there was a little waiata group. So short form is that as we were working together, building up this ropu as a whānau, we didn't know what we were building a whānau. It was just building a waiata group.
Yeah.
To bring what was missing, there was a gap in the mainstream NA. For
what's NA?
Narcotics Anonymous, the recovery sector.
Yeah.
There was this little gap that didn't tend to us as Māori. And when I came through, it was like spot the brown person.
Yeah.
So it's like, so coming over here and working alongside Stu, developing He Waka Eke Noa, over a period of like about a year, we realized chucking in some clinical stuff, and then chucking in some lived experience, and then developing it around sitting with DAP hands and their code of conducts and the ethical stuff that we had and studying in I was fresh counselling, so I was in my degree as well, studying, working, and doing stuff outside of this as well. But we figured it out along the way.
Yeah.
It was like a miss and hit.
Well, I think you guys live
back
it.
20 steps and then come back another one. Yeah, so it kind of was like that, and it developed around one of our mentors and one of the greatest guys for the modalities was David Best. So Stu had I'll leave that with him, a really great alliance with all of the, I suppose, heads or the hierarchy in the AOD sector because his long time serving. And then I was just like this little crackerjack in the back.
That's fantastic.
A little firecracker.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but I used to rock up to, he's like, we're going here. And so in part of my training as a counsellor, he led me into spaces. So I was very blessed to have that.
Yeah, well, our people are blessed to go through and be given that chance because I think it was you, bro, that said, you were talking about this guy who's going to go back in jail, right? So that space that you guys have created, tell me if I'm wrong, keeps him out of jail and puts him in a place of growth, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we've got that, we've got him now,
Yeah.
and now he's going into peer support training. He's, it's been very beneficial
For him.
Yeah, for him as well.
Yeah. And how long has this person been in your space?
Might be about a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just over a year, maybe.
It takes a long time, eh?
But he's at the stage now where he doesn't need to be here.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between people coming in, they just want to get out of jail.
Yeah.
They just got a bracelet. He started with a bracelet on him, but now he doesn't need to be here. He wants to be here.
Yeah.
So he's in our leadership team now, which is like,
But even being a callous observer, I know how much it costs to keep somebody in jail for a year.
Yeah.
So, sure, you're helping him, but you're also helping... It sounds insensitive, but I don't care. I got no filter. You're actually helping the bottom line as far as taxpayers' money's concerned too.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's money you don't get.
No. No, we don't.
No.
What does that look like for what you guys are doing? Are you getting the right amount of resources to keep your treatment centre pumping?
It's kind of a place that we don't like to talk about publicly because people do the best that they can with the resources that they have.
Yeah.
And they follow leadership.
But I know there was a time just from the last time we yarned that yous were doing it off the skin of your backs to get this pumping for your fellas.
Yeah, so part of our resourcefulness and part of our recovery space, if just jump in anytime, hun. Just part of our resourcefulness is like coming through, and the one thing that keeps us grateful is that we have the principle of we give back what we were given freely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that principle of our recovery, and that helps alleviate that ego. It helps us to alleviate and come from a point of a perspective that what we do is actually tika and pono for us.
Yeah.
Man.
And so whatever we get by the grace of God, we get.
Yeah.
And he only allows us as much as what we need to get to the next place in space. Like, there's this underground, we do work to work. And so we both have real jobs to do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so respectfully, I'm gonna, you say something.
So we've also developed down in Auckland some safe houses. So we have a community down there, which is based on pre-treatment, post-treatment, safe houses. So that's people coming off the street, people coming from incarceration, but wanting to do treatment, and then also so they can come up and do treatment now with us, or they would go and do mainstream treatment. So they would come to us, and then we're sending them down. I think we got graduation this week. We're sending some down, and then some are coming up. Some of our Viola, they can't get into mainstream because they might have GBH, I think, kidnapping or firearms.
Serious charges.
Yeah,
We'll take them.
We'll take them.
According to
An
their
assessment.
special conditions.
Yeah, there's special uniqueness.
So with that, I believe to have a safe house with a safe community, and people can thrive to achieve their goals when you got the right people leading.
Yeah. And the right culture in that space, eh?
Yeah, so now we're just very excited because we have our own treatment centre up here, and then we're using He Waka Taiora down in South Auckland, Papakura, just to help us.
Transition.
Sometimes when you get them from prison, they're a bit too needy
Raw.
and a bit raw. So
Raw
we'll
and
just
fresh.
filter them through He waka tauara, where they'll just ease into treatment and
Nice.
pre-treatment, and then they'll come up.
So it's like a good transition before they come up here.
So it's like that therapeutic, slap them around a little bit, like this is how we work.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we have in our houses too is that all of our houses have lived experience house hosts.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Right.
So they're able to maintain that culture of abstinence for us.
Yeah.
And the other thing too that we utilise is that even though the model was specifically for Māori and Pacific Island, we have, it caters for every single ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because we have a South African, a South African, we have Pacific Islanders that actually run our whare and one Māori. And they all come from that same space.
These philosophies that you have and these, let's call it a recipe for success, do they exist in mainstream? Do what you guys do, because I think this is bloody phenomenal. Does that, because there's a hole in the system. You guys have seen that hole in that vacuum. You've gone there. Do mainstream do any of this stuff?
No.
No, not at all.
E he ana tērā. That's wrong. You know, so there's a specific need.
Yes.
And
That's why I was bringing up about the resource thing, because you are doing, like he said, you have seen the hole or the gap in the system. You have created a way to fulfill that. And I would just hope that you are getting the right amount of resources to follow through with that and continue it.
We, since being up in the north over the last 12 months, we've developed, and this is from a passion from another organisation, Te Kāpihui Te Kāinga, who you spoke with Mataponi and Whaifaith yesterday. When they saw, because they have a personal, they personally had a whānau member that came to us as well. And because of what they saw and what they knew and what they felt from the inside out and being personally involved with their whānau member, they went back, they revisited their kaupapa because they're also lived experience.
yeah.
And then they came and approached us and they took a gamble on us and they gave us a van to do our mahi. They just gave it. And then they also went back and they now give us some, it's only minimal, but to us it's like massive. They give us, they pay us for 2 days a week for us to work in there, which is massive. So that helps alleviate us coming, not so much Stu because his need is a lot greater, but I was able to come off the floor and him lead everywhere else so that I could focus. And so we have this shared vision of servicing everybody, but they also had a vision for their people in Hokianga. They wanted us to go to Hokianga and shift, but we just can't find a premise. And if I can chuck in too, is that for us, because of who we are and the uniqueness we have, we don't want the hab. We don't want to keep working there.
Yeah.
Because that's not our purpose. Our dream is to get something established for the whānau, for the iwi, for the hapu, and for the whānau, the iwi and the hapu to come in, learn what we can teach them. They have it and we walk away. So we can start the next venture. But it's being able to get those conversations through, to have that kōrero at that level, to be able to hand it back and to be just, don't put ego in it, just come and take it.
Yeah.
under the guidance of us.
I think one of the things too, even though you struggle financially, it makes once you have financial support, you're answerable to something other than yourselves, and in your case, and I salute your faith, but you know your tikanga, your hahi, your atua. That's who you guys answer to, and the people that come through your doors, eh?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that independence is also worth a lot, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how we like to roll.
Yeah. Bro, what's so, our men, what's the biggest change you see, or what really makes you smile and go, yeah, here's another awesome Māori fella leaving our, what do you see? What's the change? I mean, are they lonely? Are they angry? Are they all those things?
Yeah, at the beginning, but it's like really rewarding, like seeing them still clean and sober after 2 years to 5 years, and changing their behaviours behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And I don't see us as like an organisation that like just ticks boxes. You can do our, so they stay connected to us. And with one of our girls, I think she's like 10 years clean and sober the other week, and had a bit of a celebration there. But it's very rewarding. So where we are at the moment, we're on our 3rd cohort, and so we would like to create a community in Kaikoui with some more houses that can cater for that aftercare rather than just coming in, tick our box and then out you go.
Yeah.
So that we're still like connected. That's where we're headed.
Yes.
But
That's exciting.
We're broke.
We're
at the
broke.
moment.
We've already given like 5 bonds to houses, and that's locked money.
Yeah.
We'd just like to go out on a limb and just create a safe community. We live and breathe recovery.
Yeah.
We cannot go and hang out with bank robbers, or else we'll become bank robbers ourselves. We cannot hang out with negative people. We cannot hang out with specific people. We live and breathe recovery. So I think that's where you more or less like get that lived experience. We sometimes, I know it's not very therapeutic, but sometimes I tell my clients, you can't bullshit a bullshit.
Yeah, ciao, bro.
You can't con
Yeah, I've danced this dance before, bro.
Who more just smells a dirty red than the fucking king dirty red?
Yeah.
But it's, also it's like trying to bring, because I've been brought up clinically.
Yeah.
So bringing the clinical experience, the lived experience, our Christian experience, and our cultural experience all together. Sometimes they all don't gel well together.
Yeah.
So you're just like pulling one out at a time, and then we've got our modalities, CBT, and the holistic approach as well. Yeah. Which is where I'd like to go to now. Is the whānau, like educating the whānau. And I would say my father would say, take your car to the Pākehā. Don't take your car to your no good mates, or else they won't fix it properly. The Pākehā will always, in that context, for the whānau, don't try and fix them yourself. Send them to us.
Right.
Send them, take them to the right people.
Yeah.
If we don't work for them, then take them somewhere else that's going to work for them.
Yeah. But make your choices carefully, eh? Is what you're saying.
Sometimes whānau are the worst ones. And they tell them the wrong things. And even love gets in the way, eh? Oh, never mind. It'll be okay. No, it won't. We're going to deal with
Sweep it under the carpet. Just give it help.
But a trauma in there as well. And so just
and then
and that can come from the whānau too, some of that.
Harden up, you little so what are you crying for? And even that, and I just get even that's just like, whoa. So we do it differently.
It's
But you can't, sometimes you can't heal in a place that broke you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to be removed from
Absolutely.
that environment
Well said.
to heal.
Yeah. But for me, I see you guys in your work, you're actually changing whakapapa, ne? So if somebody was lacking in spirit and direction, okay, and then goes through your fella's aroha machine, then their whakapapa's going to change. Those kids are going to reap the benefits of that, and that's what really excites me, because things can knock us off the right track, eh?
Yeah.
So you know, we don't have to tell you how important your work is,
Yeah.
or how amazing you guys are, because you see it in the eyes of our people that come to you. You know. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, yeah, we've run out of time, I think. Engari, yeah. Oh, you guys are so cool. We could have you all day. And,
I know, we could talk all day.
Yeah.
We know you want to talk for 2 more hours, Stu, but we've got to wrap up.
Yeah, we
Stu.
go. Jeez, bloody Stu goes on, doesn't it? But engari, the kōrero is magic. Nō reire, mihi ana kia kōrua. Ki o kōrua ngā kau mō te tangata, tō kōrua aroha mō te tangata. Just praising your love for our people. And you know what? So many people forget that you don't just do it for our own people. You do it for people who need it. Our treaty partners, Pākehā, Pacifica, Asia, if you need it, our own tangata whenua people will help.
Yes.
Yeah, so ngā mihi kia korua. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to add into, like, just to keep that shit real, is that my brother was in our service, and so when the person becomes dangerous, we have to discharge. I had to discharge, and Stu had to discharge my brother because he had picked up. That was about 4 days ago. So even though we have kin that come in, you cannot sacrifice everybody for one person.
The well-being of everyone.
Yeah. And that's the same if you take that into a family. You cannot sacrifice your whole family for that one person. Just re-echoing is get them, send them, not to the Pākehā, but send them to us.
Well, the Pākehā can't, they don't have
that connection, cultural connection.
Well, they don't even have a system that's like this. That's why you guys have to do what you do. Because as a country, we're not providing. That is the longest sign-off I've ever done. You fellas go home, okay? Love you guys. See you.
Love you.